Yo, champion in the making. All you aspiring Pokemon trainers better get ready and brush the dust off your Pokedexes. The route to the next part of your journey to become a Pokemon Master has opened. Connie here with a review of the much anticipated Black 2 and White 2. These two are the direct sequels to Pokemon Black and White. In fact, the first direct sequels in the series since Gold and Silver. You play as entirely new trainers, blazing the trail 2 years after the last protagonist has saved the world and naturally dropped off the map. Though the geography is pretty much the same, a lot of the cities themselves have changed during the time skip. For instance, you start in an entirely new town not present in the last game, and if you actually liked the cold storage area from Black and White, I'm sorry to inform you that it has been since torn down. Much loved characters from the last game have really grown during the time skip. In fact, you get your starters from one of your rivals from Black and White, Bianca, who has since become Professor Juniper's assistant. After leaving home with your slightly sociopathic rival, Hugh, you're allowed to explore a world that feels different, but the same. Like walking back into your room after someone else has rearranged it. The gyms have mostly changed, with new puzzles to unlock, and in some cases, entirely new gyms and gym leaders altogether. Gameplay is much the same as past entries in the series, but Pokemon from older generations are unlocked immediately, and it was hard to contain my squeals when I ran into a Riolo almost immediately at the start of the game. The game centers around the return of Team Plasma, who have split based on loyalties. There are those who are still loyal to N, who simply wants to save Pokemon, and those who are loyal to Get This, who explicitly wants to steal Pokemon. By doing this, they pretty much remove the moral ambiguity that was present in the beginning of the first game immediately. Another thing I'm slightly disappointed in is the lack of the auto-run feature that was present in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and quite frankly, sorely missed in Black and White. There's nothing wrong per se with holding down V to run, but it can get pretty annoying at times. Cinematics were improved, but still nothing to write home about, and the interface is nearly the exact same as the prior game. Still, the original controls were decent for what you need to do anyways, so I can't fault them too much. They also added additional features, like the ability to link up with your Black and White game to unlock a few extra battles and have NPCs mention your predecessor's name every once in a while. You can also exchange keys between the two versions if you have a friend with the opposite. You can switch between Black City and White Forest with these keys, as well as gain the ability to switch to easy mode or challenge mode. Anyway, moving on to some of the peripherals. I wasn't really excited by sports or dress-up minigames in Black and White, so I was glad to hear they added another one a little closer to my interests. PokeStar Studios is available early on in the game and is exactly what you think. A movie studio for Pokemon, and I guess the player too. If you complete certain requirements, your Pokemon can become a star and gets a special graphic when they pop out of their Pokeballs. That means you can show other players how awesome you are. It doesn't really have much to do with the gameplay as usual, but I find it really fun. That could just be because I find making movies and TV more fun than exercising my phenomenal physical faculties. The graphics are good, but there haven't really been any improvements between last game and here. Some areas are a little flashier than others in the past, but none are really that significant enough to mention. Of course, in the sphere of Pokemon games, Black and White themselves did a really great job with graphics, so I suppose minor changes are acceptable. One of the nice things is a change in music. Some of the new songs are really catchy. In fact, I've caught myself singing Roxy's theme quite a few times since I've beaten her. The use of the keys I mentioned earlier definitely gives it a little more replay value. You can play the game at a harder or easier difficulty, I guess. Still, it's Pokemon, and it's got about as much replay value as you want it to. I know Pokemaniacs who spend hundreds of hours training post-game, but I also know more mild Pokemon fans who stop playing after the story is over. But with all the post-game adventures to be had, you can bet I'm a Pokemaniac. Let's move on to the score. Story is good for a Pokemon game, and it's definitely nice to see your old friends bloom into important people, but it's still relatively shallow with Black and White morality lines. I'm sorry for that. Anyway, story gets a 7. Presentation is solid and has been slightly improved by better cinematics and peripherals. I give presentation an 8. Gameplay is fun and reflects the original series. It gets an 8. Design has changed quite a bit and I love it. New music and areas refresh the game while still giving you a sense of familiarity. I give design an 8.5. Replay value. It's a Pokemon game, which means you get about as much out of it as you put in. I can only judge it based on my personal experience, and I honestly doubt I'll be putting Pokemon down for months. Replay value gets a 9. With all this in mind, I give Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 an 8 out of 10. It offers a lot and is fun to play, but probably not Game of the Year material. Well, now that that's done, I got some Pokemons to catch. See y'all later.